How's it going? It's May 11th, 9:39 p.m. And just getting into a few things for tonight. So anyways, go back over to the calendar here. I've taken out at least this coming Sunday session. I wasn't too sure whether it was going to be the Sunday or the Monday. I was thinking of taking out the Monday instead, but it appears there was nobody that was signed up for the Sunday. I'm not too sure if anybody signed up for the Monday, to be honest. But since nobody was signed up for the Sunday anyways, I thought that would be the good one to take out. It's usually not that busy anyways. So now I'm eating again, dang it. I hate doing commentary ones when I gotta eat. I do it first, especially since I was watching YouTube the last few minutes. But anyways, let me take a look around here while I chomp on some things here. Sorry. It just seems like this is when I settle down for the night and want to start doing something. So I grab a snack and then I realize how rude I am. Ooh. Let's see. I'm gonna load up the world save and then pause it. See where we're at. Ooh, man. Storm finally stopped? I don't know. I was kind of curious to see what the storm would be like at night. Let me just apply this actually. I don't know if it makes a difference or not, but it looks cool. Still looks kind of stormy to me. It'll be interesting to see if there's an actual storm at night. I haven't gone that far to see whether or not that's the case or not, but so we're just past the 8 p.m. hour here in the session. So this is what we got. We got a nice little backlog here. One, there was a screw up on my part, which is part for the course as of late by the looks of it. I meant to bring him in. I forget where I wanted to bring him in. I think I was busy to get a hump going. So finally going. Yeah, there we go. Was it on 3 for or track 4? I thought it was 5 for some reason. No, I guess it was 4. So yeah, I meant to bring him in down on 4, but for whatever reason I missed a switch and left it alone, and sure enough, there he was. When I looked again, I'm like, ah, crap. So, but I got a way to remedy that at least. Shouldn't be a problem. So yeah, to say the least, it is a mess down here. I'll show you what the backlog. This, I can get him fixed, at least back on the right track. Second manifest. Third manifest. So I got one that's going to be filled up rather quick, and then we got the intermodal train that snuck in here. And I think that's all of it for now. Everything else is running, doing its thing. I got departure ready for 10:30. So I finally got a departure ready ahead of time. And then there's another westbound coming in or northbound coming in. CSSE. So, I mean, it's pretty backlogged, but hopefully now we're running two steady people in Selkirk. It's still a learning experience. It's about to get dark pretty soon, which means it's going to get real fun. That's just the way it is. So what I might do is at least set up some things this weekend so that I can get a better grip of the yard. What I mean by that is just automatic reporting, setting up tracks for industries, and they get reported. Like what happens is we go down here. Oh, there still is a storm. Took them long enough. I don't know where I got 73, 74. I don't know what the hell that was. So yeah, I got the auto rack terminal. Oh, it says it's ready. I gotta change that. It ain't ready. Well, that's interesting. Incoming tags, it shows it right there. So those tags must be in like that, I take it. It's showing everything else. So let me just take a look at that and see if that's the case. If that's the case, I gotta go through. Wow, that sounded cool. If that's the case, then I have to go through and tag all of these. And that's my fault because okay, so now let's see what happens. Oh, that's not what I wanted. So now if I go over to, well, that ain't gonna tell me anything either. What the hell? Jeez. Industry cars, that's what I want. Thank you. Okay, now it's doing it. Okay, so that's a goofy on my part. So that's another thing I'll have to set up. But what I have to do, besides getting the industry set up, is to actually go in and start putting down false industry tracks for everything. And what that does is it allows me to group and see what is in all the tracks. Especially when it gets dark, I can tell, how many cars are in certain tracks, a few other things. I don't think it goes so far as the, lengths. No, it doesn't. But you can see, yeah, why would it show weight? It does show weight, but it doesn't show lengths. I don't know, whatever. Cars that are ready, that don't matter. They're all going to be ready. Weight. Industry configuration. File written. I don't even know where that goes. Yeah, okay. I'll find it. But anyways, that's that. I don't know if I'm going to be doing that tonight, to be quite honest. Or what I'm going to be doing at this point. So I'm not even going to save that. That's just something I'm going to deal with later on. I'm still trying to figure out this thing. If I want to, I hate changing it because I want to stick with it. It's a beautiful route. I've really thought about doing Florida lately. I mean, I suppose the part of me I don't want to take away anything from what's happening on the RTS Florida 24/7. I don't think I will. I honestly don't think it would take that much away. Yeah, that's cool. I'm curious. Just curious. Here, let's unfreeze this for a minute. Just put it. Like, will it light up the whole sky? Do you think? I haven't tried this yet. That looks kind of cool. Or did it stop? Are you telling me it stopped because I went into the dark? Maybe it's not programmed because it doesn't have the flashing that they would like to see. It's kind of interesting it did that. Now I can't get it to storm. Well, that's kind of weird. I forget how I got to storm before, but maybe the sun's down too far. I saw it. That was a little weird how it went dark, or it was dark and then it went. I think once it gets too dark, it just says, okay, we're not going to show the lightning and thunder anymore. Or the storm is over then, I don't know. I think it might be based on the hour. I have no idea. Yeah, well. I'll give it few more minutes. If it doesn't show up, I ain't worried about it. Be kind of cool. Is that where the storm is coming from? Or? It's pretty dark. But again, I can never tell. Okay. Anyways. Now that I've explored all that. I bet you if I put it right back. See, there is some hour things going on there, so maybe it doesn't. I'm just gonna give you that back. There we go. So, yeah, I'm not too sure. Like, I'm trying to debate whether how much I want to do tonight or what. I'm kind of burnt out, to be quite honest. It's been quite a bit of action. So with Amtrak, I'll just go over there. We've got 2 trains in there. That one's going to be a third, actually. So they'll go in. Because you can't Y the entire train, we just have to take the engines off, hook them all together, and do a little Y here. And I guess set it up. So that's more work that has to be done. I'm wondering. I'm just trying to get a few ideas of, you know, what's basically on store and what we're up against here, or what I'm mainly up against, because it's mainly me at the moment. Jerry, it's also been running the yard. I love the hump. I always have enjoyed a hump yard. But there's also a side of me that looks and sees potential for short lines. I saw that with possibly over at Bakersfield taking over SJVR and running that as a short line. The benefit of having the short line, I'll tell you what it is basically. You set up the industries the way you want to, and then you can do the whole random thing. And not so much, I wouldn't do the random trains, but at the very least you can do the random way bills and see how it goes. So there is potential. If I was, looking at, I'm just looking at the map here as far as what there is. I don't know if West Albany. I wouldn't bother with CP Rail, to be honest. But I'm just looking at West Albany Yard. I don't know too much about it. There's an old lead. There's a propane place. I don't know too much as far as what I could do there or what I could. There have been mentions of other things, such as the B&M, which is possible. But I don't know. So it goes to B on page 1. So you got a yard, a runner, couple runners, 13,000 feet. So I mean, it's possible. Old Dominion, recycling place. Um, so where does this go? This goes on to page 1 by RJ. Okay. So I'm just trying to get the feel for this one here. Oh, okay, so this is just Selkirk side. This is even the Mohawk side. I just realized that. I didn't realize I had there was two different maps. See how much I pay attention. So I'm just trying to think now. So a train would come in to the B&M and it would serve a fair amount of industries. It's possible. It's not that many. Really not that much to do. Hudson Yard is another potential. You got ADM, but I don't see it. Let me take a look here. Want to be sure I know what I'm dealing with here. Oh, let me take a look. Shoot. One more time here. No, that's West Albany. Hang on. So we're talking right by the Hudson line by RJ. Okay. Oh, yeah. This looks like it's changed a little bit. At least I thought it had. Maybe not. So West Shore IT, which really doesn't do anything. So I've got CPRJ. Get the B&M. Let me just follow this for a bit and see what it looks like. I haven't really done too much. Rotterdam, yard office. Alright, fair enough. An industry. Couple industries. Nice looking bridge. Okay. That looks kind of cool. Looks kind of neat. And that's the end of the line, I take it. Interesting. Okay. So it definitely has some potential. I don't know if I have Mohawk here on one of my maps, but let's take a look at that. Actually, do I want to take a look at Albany? This is just getting a few ideas as far as... Okay, so we got a CP rail connection as well here. West Albany Yard. I kind of wanted to see that. That's a speed change when it heads out of town. Okay. Always wondered about that. Interstate food, not much else. Thought Albany had a little bit more for some reason, but I guess not. Line's got some. So where I'm trying to get at here. So we've seen the B&M. Kind of know what Hudson Yard looks like. Albany, yeah, doesn't really have too much. Couple of industries. That's about it. So that's. Let me just take a look at Mohawk now, if I do have it. If I don't, I'm not going to worry about it, but yeah, I got it. So Mohawk has a lot of different industries. St. Lawrence sub. Generally, they stay along the main line. That's kind of interesting. Messina. So if I go to 248, that's a possible. CSX Utica Yard is another interesting one. NYS and W. Oh yeah, that's got the street running for a little bit there. Well, let's take a look at that then. Finger Lakes. Okay, you got the Finger Lakes Railroad too. I remember looking at some of this before, but looks kind of cool. Allied Chemical. That's a St. Lawrence sub, right? Or should be. Or am I getting totally confused here? No, that's the main. It's just something. There's a St. Lawrence sub. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to find a potential little niche that can be used operationally versus necessarily running the hump and all the demands of Selkirk itself. Train out there. Syracuse proper, which is empty right now. Did I miss it? I may have. Okay. Oh yeah, I was going to check CP248 around there and see what that's like. I must have missed the Finger Lakes. So we got one here. It's kind of interesting. Okay. Trying to get something that's catching my eye. I mean, just it has nothing to do with the scene. Okay, Adirondack Scenic Railroad. That's not what I'm thinking. CSX Utica maybe. How about NYS and W? Where post is that again? Well, I'll find it. Never mind. Amtrak Rome, Little Falls. Yeah, okay, right around here somewhere. Okay, this is interesting. So you got the NYS and W yard. Nice, 4 tracks or so. What is that, the street running? Yeah. That's kind of cool. No, it's a scenic railroad. I don't think I want that. And Utica Yard, which really doesn't go too far else, I don't think. And that's about it for that. I think that's it. And I don't see anything else. Okay, so let me close that off. So I'm going to minimize this for a minute and I'm going to show you what we've got. When you look at Run 8, we've got 3 major routes that will continue, and I've talked a little bit about this before. They are going to continue to expand. Selkirk and Mohawk will continue to expand. It's a great route. It's it does have still a couple little issues. I'm sure they'll be fixed. There was a lot of major issues before. Mikey's fixed them, so I have no doubt that these things are going to be fixed. That's not what's really taking away from what I'm doing right now. What I'm having a difficult time Selkirk was, well, there's two of them actually. There's Florida south of Jacksonville, if I wasn't to include Jacksonville Yard, and if I was to just use Taft and probably, I don't know how much, but probably staging traffic coming out of Jacksonville and treat Jacksonville as either some kind of staging or something. Now, first of all, I'm running full schedules right now for Selkirk. One thing that Ski and I, when in our conversations that we had, and we're both from this area, he knows a hell of a lot more than I do. One of the comments that he had made was, running it has nothing to do about the beauty. I've already said that this is the most beautiful route there is. But what operations wise, there's some people that prefer to be on single track main lines. There's some that like the double track or the double track with a lot of heavy traffic. There's some people that like interchanges, hubs, junctions, that sort of thing. There's all kinds of operational differences. You go from one railroad to another, you're going to find a lot of operational differences in various routes. California had an interesting setup I liked. It reminded me actually a lot of a much busier version of where I was actually a Model Railroad Club member until I left recently. And that is the CP Sudbury division. Now, the difference there, and I'll I don't know if I can. Let me just do this. Let me pull this up here. Hopefully, I'll give a plug to some of the guys who have my former colleagues, who I still follow, by the way. Let me see if that gives it. No, that isn't it. What's their website now? I think that might be it. .ca. So this is the Waterloo Regional Model Railroad Club. So as you can see, modeling CP Rail Sudbury Division in the 1970s. Looks like their website's isn't updated. They're sponsored by. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So when you look at the layout, this is the schematic. So what they have, they show what I don't know if they show what's been modeled, but basically what's modeled is Sudbury's the hub. There is I believe it's about a 14-track yard, flat, no humps or anything like that. And then you have a single track. You have a double track going up to Romford, then it goes back to single track sidings. So you got this double track section, and then you go back to single track on the car chase sub. So this is the car chase sub right here in the red. And you got the Webwood sub that runs off. That heads eventually connects it to Sault, so it heads towards Sault Ste. Marie. This heads to Western Canada, and then you got Eastern Canada. Now, what's cool about this is they have, I would say they run about 12 to 20 trains, I think. Don't quote me on that one. So they don't run a huge amount of trains, so it's not massively full of traffic, but Sudbury can get very busy. You'll get your meets there. You do get some single track meets. We've got, or I say we, I'm no longer a member there because I left the club. I decided, I didn't want to add the expense because it's an hour and a half drive to get to this. So they have a siding at Nairn. They have some industries here, um, a lot of copper mines and or copper nickel type thing. So they're in an area of the Canadian Shield where there's a lot of minerals and resources, and there's lumber. This here, only one train goes down this the Little Current sub. Actually, no, I think two do. And then you have, I believe, maybe about 6 trains that go down here, but the bulk of the trains go down here for CP Rail. And eventually this leads up to Toronto. So one goes to Montreal, one goes to Toronto. Now, the reason why I say something like this is appealing to me is because I know operationally that there's only so many trains that run. So when I look at an operation like this, I say, okay, can I actually run this by myself? That's where the common denominator that keeps on coming back to me. Can I run a 24-hour schedule by myself? I think the answer is more likely for this than Selkirk, only because with Selkirk, the auto facility is a huge part of the trains that come in and out. And then there's also a lot of, you got the humps that they're constantly going. You're building trains. I'm not sure yet. I may be able to handle it. It just might be we're in a busy section, and I was running on a Sunday, and it was spoiling me because I thought it wasn't as busy. But this is the kind of thing when I look at there's switching potential, there's other things, but I can see myself being able to run the yards there while still possibly running, not necessarily a switcher a day, but at least I can spread out. I can safely feel I can spread out. Right now in Selkirk Mohawk, I can't spread out because I can't even get out of Selkirk with the auto facility there, and to have a backup the way it is. So it's really difficult right now for me to even consider that. That's why I was looking at the other lines. The other option is to have a working interchange. And by that, what I mean is one thing that is feasible. Um, you got to understand the way the current system works as far as their system. Yes, I can develop a system. It would take some time again to get RTS version 2, but I could. It is possible. Again, I don't know what Ski's schedule is going to be. He's been very busy. So, you know, you basically you got your priorities, and that's the way it is. That's just the way it is. You have to make choices. You have priorities. You have to make money in the bottom line. I would be able to do a lot more if I wasn't working, but even with me working, 35 hours a week, I only have so much time. I've already decided to go from 3 sessions a week to 2. So hopefully that gives me time to prepare, develop some more automation to make my job a little bit easier, make our job a little bit easier so that we can plan ahead, plan some moves, keep track of what's coming in and out a little bit better. So it's a little bit difficult. If you're spending time looking back and forth trying to figure out what trains are what and what's going on, um, a lot of times the big thing I find with Selkirk is I'm trying to figure out where the hell I am half the time, especially coming out into those drill tracks. Um, a lot of there's only certain tracks that you can really bring an arrival train on that has direct access to the hump, which is why I don't use 10. 10's good for switching. 2's another one. A lot of times used for overflow. So there's these little integrated I don't think that was the word I was thinking of. But anyways, there's these little fun things that that are part of it. So um, I'm just trying to think of what I put here, and I just want to make sure I covered everything because I don't think I'm going to go too much further tonight. So yeah, so I've decided to cancel the Sunday session and go 2 days a week, Monday and Wednesday. Gives me opportunity on Sundays evenings to prepare for both sessions, in addition to any time before when I can spare, such as tonight. Like turnout has dropped. Uh, there was some initial buzz that started. There was a group of people from some of the other servers that were seemed interested. One thing that, and this goes back to Ski's comment, and I think it goes back to actually running the line. Running the main line can be kind of boring uh, in Selkirk and Mohawk. Even though you got all the beauty, it can be kind of boring because it's not that challenging as far as grades. Um, you're in double track territory. You don't have that much traffic. Um, Mind you, it should get a little bit better with some of the passenger traffic, etc. But that haven't had. So I mean, the traffic levels are certainly up, but it's still um, there's a lot of dead spots, and there's a lot of busy spots as well. So we'll see how that goes. But so yeah, it's dropped into the single digits. This was never the intention, as I plan to work with as little as one person, me, which is really where it comes down to. Now, we've had at least 2 dedicated crew members for a while now. Most nights we'll get at least a third person who's running main lines. Um, but what I'll do is I'll use the time off in between to plan movements and automate, just as I was saying. I've been considering trying a different route, or at least section of a route, as well as if I find my happy medium. Basically, I want something that is challenging and I can run solo, but not so much that I never am able to catch up. The Conrail era timetables, as well as even the logistics of Selkirk Yard itself, is proving to be very challenging, and it is. There's a lot of interesting challenges that goes with Selkirk, I'm finding. It is not as it's been mentioned, it is not the best well laid out yard. I don't know if it's just because of the tight spaces or what it is, but it has nothing to do with the design of, or it has nothing to do with Mikey or his creation. I think it has to do with how Selkirk really is in real life, and that's just how the yard is. And I guess, with their space considerations, where they were able to fit some of the leads, like some of the drill tracks are a little bit awkward. It's a very unique place, to say the least. Um, so the Conrail are blah 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 blah. So for now, I'll try to hang in there and figure this beast out. And it is turning out to be a bit of a beast. If I go down to 2 nights, like I said, that should um, prevent me from burning out. It should allow me to go in and, like I said, I put those dummy industries in. I should be able to put some automation in. It gives me time to really develop this. Um, and yeah, that's about it. Okay, so there wasn't anything else. I thought there might have been something else on there, but there really isn't. Um, so yeah, but let me know what you guys think, or or whatever. Like I said, it doesn't seem like there's that. It never seemed like there was that much buzz on the Wikia, unfortunately, for Selkirk and Mohawk. I haven't seen it. And if there was more people running trains, or more people that wanted to run switchers, or um, something, and I've had people come in and I've set up the sign-ups for in this thing, some people come in and then all of a sudden they're gone, and you don't know what happened, and I don't know. Um, so I mean, it's one of those things, and I can't read minds, so if there's an issue or questions or people don't understand something, just post a message, let me know. Um, I'm curious to find out what people are thinking. But as I said before, going back into the Run 8 side of things, and I'll close this off for now, so that way I get through all my stuff. I'll get out of here as well. Um, so yeah, I would like to see, personally, I would love to see. Now they're talking about the editors. I'm curious about what that's going to be like, and if it's going to allow to develop routes. I've even thought of proto-lancing, but really to proto-lance, I mean, even proto-lancing or freelancing or whatever, any of these routes, right? When you have a major main line or a double track main line, the closest thing, like I said, the closest thing I have seen so far that comes to something that runs, I want something that runs long enough. I'll give you an example too. Niagara's another example. My home. So we have two railroads, one short line. We also have an interchange in Fort Erie with Norfolk Southern, right across the river, which connects to the Chicago line, which connects to eventually Selkirk Mohawk. We have connections to the big Frontier Yard in Buffalo. CN runs in and out of there. CP runs in and out of. No, they don't run in and out of there. I think they run out of. What the hell? Damn the NS yard. I can't even think of the name of it right now for some stupid reason. But they run into they run to NS. NS comes in to Fort Erie on week or daily, I think it is. I often go down there on Sunday afternoons and watch them. And they come in, they bring their train in, their interchange, and then they park it and sit there for about an hour or two waiting for CN to show up. I guess once it's cleared customs, their work or whatever. They drop off a bunch for NS, and then they take the rest over to CSX. Frontier to interchange with them, and then they come back again and they pick up what NS left behind for them. So they basically perform two interchanges at the same time. Meanwhile, there could be some CP main lines that are still running the mains. CN, there wouldn't be anything else. But there's about, I would say, CN runs about 6 to 8 trains a day, give or take, depending upon how the schedules are now. I'm not positive on that one. I would say CP runs 10 to 12. Used to be the other way around. It used to be CN that ran more, but CP seems to run a little bit more these days. But they run a lot at night, so I'm not too sure what exactly is run. You have the Amtrak Maple Leaf, which also can be seen on the Selkirk Mohawk routes. That runs through from Toronto to New York. That's the main passenger service, and then you have Go Transit that actually does run in the summertime, a commuter-like service from Toronto all the way up to Niagara Falls. So, and if you go back into older eras, you'd have Via Rail. Via Rail, we have Via Rail stations, but it's operated, the Amtrak trains are operated by Via Rail. So there's a lot of, and there's a lot, I say there's a lot of potential for something like that because for me personally, I would be more than happy to run a train from, like I could do it a few ways. I could either run the train from Toronto in the morning, the early morning hours. Now there would be a 421 and a 422. that they would run in opposite directions. There used to be a 330. I think they discontinued. Yeah, they discontinued that. But those trains for CN, let's say, would run in opposite directions from Toronto. So if it was modeled, say, from Hamilton, and it was just the Grimsby sub and the Stamford subdivisions, that would lead you to for about, I would say, a good 30 miles on one subdivision and 10 on the other to get to Port Robinson Yard. And Port Robinson Yard, again, is very similar to, I would say, I wouldn't say the size of Bakersfield. Definitely not. Well, it's kind of similar to UP Bakersfield. Definitely bigger than the Mojave, but probably smaller than BNSF Bakersfield, for example. And it's it's basically a sorting yard. There's very few locals now. A lot of the industry's been killed in this area, but there still is some industry. There's a lot of interchange as well. The short line runs very little stuff down there. What industry's still left that hasn't been killed off totally, but they're not. They don't run much. Some of their short line runs from Welland to St. Catharines will only run like 3 to 4 cars, two box cars and a gondola and a hopper. So I mean, it's ridiculously low amounts. I don't know how the hell they make money, to be quite honest, at times. At least not that run. But yeah, I was saying I'd like to be able to run, say, either I run the one train or I operate the yard. And a lot of times these guys aren't running yard masters. They're basically coming in with the train, and then the yard's basically waiting until the train's coming in, because then when the train comes in, it builds up the locals to interchange with the short line, or locals that interchange with CP Rail, or locals that interchange. It's very much a bridge traffic line, but it redistributes everything so that it interchanges. Some of it interchanges with NS, some of it interchanges with CSX, because it's all crossing over the border. So it's really a classification system. There's a little bit of local industry still in the area, so it certainly does have some local operations to make things interesting. The CP rail line, it does a little bit of reclassification. Um, a few local industries, not much. But I know more about CN than CP. And then the short line, as I was saying, has a few industries in St. Catharines left. I think maybe 2 or 3 tops. Maybe 4, if you consider Thorold. And then there's a couple big industries in Port Colborne. One smaller one in Welland, or 2 smaller ones in Welland I can think of. And that's the end of that short line. So the short line doesn't do too much. The short line has, I think, like a 6-track yard. Oh yeah, CP Rail also runs there's a branch line that on the old Queso sub runs to Port Maitland. So that's like a 20-mile jaunt. Actually, there's a few of them. There's one that goes to Niagara Falls as well. Ex Queso lines, basically Canada Southern lines. One goes to Niagara Falls, where they've cut off everything because the city of Niagara Falls didn't want the trains in the tourist area anymore. So they made a deal back in 2000, and so they cut off what was the former CP rail line. Now they use CN tracks at a junction on the other side of Welland. So, but anyways, that's the kind of thing that I'm looking at doing. I I I love the hump, don't get me wrong, but with it comes, especially when there's traffic and if there's not much capacity, despite the fact we have the virtual hump. The problem with the virtual hump, it's not the issue with the virtual hump that we use. The issue becomes, and I'm finding this is, and I didn't think it was going to be much of an issue, but now I'm starting to think it might be. When we're trying to build trains, and perhaps the issue is I'm not building trains fast enough or planning ahead far enough in advance to where I could actually trim a lot sooner and build the trains. Remember, I was saying the other day, um, you don't want to trim too fast because it becomes uh, trimming too fast basically wastes time and then you have to reblock. So it's not as productive. The problem on the opposite side is if you don't trim soon enough, you can't build your trains in time to go out. So I'm trying to work on that. I'm trying to work on trying to see get a look ahead as to what trains are going out, configurations. So I want to try to be more efficient. I'm still learning Selkirk, so chances are I might become a little bit more efficient, or likely, it's not chances, I will become more efficient. Um, but then I have to figure out how it best runs basically. And as far as whatever people right now, I seem to have myself and Jerry seem to be very interested. Jerry's from over I believe in England, so he runs with me till 4 o'clock in the morning his time. So he's very dedicated, um, and he's on all the time. He seems to be enjoying it. He also runs Florida as well, so I'm very appreciative of his support. We'll see if we get others. I'm not too worried. Like I said, I'm not too worried about that because really, there's only room for maybe about one more person in Selkirk, and that's it. The rest is just mainline trains. And the mainline trains, I don't know if the mainline trains are enough to keep people really that interested because you have limited meets. Um, you only have so much traffic out there at any given time. Despite the fact I got a 4 train backlog right now trying to get into Selkirk, that's just the way it is. So, but yeah, I'll show you what as well since I'm paused. I'll show you what it looks like right now, and I think I've already shown this, and then I'll end this for the night. But you can see they're begging for signals or whatever. Whoops. Let me get over here. So yeah, you got 4 trains over by Unionville, or anywhere between VO and the entrance Fair Bush there. You've got an Amtrak that's about to go into the service area at Selkirk, and then there's another Amtrak that's heading west, just past Hoffman's. I've got one outbound ready to depart off of the south departure lead, and then I got a northbound coming in off the river sub. As you can see, tracks 9 to 2 are totally filled. Track 10 is available, but doesn't have access to the hump, so I use that more as a set-off traffic. 2 is also a very good track to do some setting off or trimming the slough track, because what happens is there's plenty of crossover so you can get in and out. It's really neat. But then when you look at the Mohawk sub, there you go. I mean, you look at the Mohawk sub, that basically tells you, in a nutshell what's going on there. You've got this train right here. You've got an Amtrak that's already lit up all the way. He has the whole line all the way up to the east end of Syracuse Station. And you got a trailer van train that is lit up for himself all the way to the Selkirk sub up to Hoffman's, where the Amtrak just went through, and I'm not too sure what the rest of the schedule is going to bring. I did have 5 Amtraks last night on at one point. 2 of them are there. There was actually 5 Amtraks on the between. I don't know if he was in here, but he was definitely around this area. I had 5 of them. I had a meet going on here. I got a meet going on there, and then I think, well, a potential meet that came, and then there was 2 that were passing each other here, and that was around the evening rush hour. So it was really cool to see that. I shouldn't say see it because I really didn't see much of it because I was too busy dispatching or doing whatever. But that's something if you're looking to run Amtrak trains. I mean, I know a lot of people like running those things. There, you know, evening rush hour or morning rush hours. Those are perfect times to run them. And so we run a 24-hour continuous session that saves itself, goes on. We're at 8 p.m. right now. Monday's session will be running from 8 p.m. till midnight, so it's going to start getting dark again. Hopefully there's a moonlight. If there isn't, well, eventually there will be, but it's not going to happen. And you can always change the ambient lighting as well too, and that's something I may have to do just to see the hump a little better and adjust for the lack of lighting at the one end of the hump. So, but anyways, no, that's about all I want to say for tonight. Um, there's really not too much more I can go into at this point. I had a late start anyways for tonight, so. Um, but as always, feel free to comment suggestions or whatever. And yeah, I'm still saying Florida. One thing before I let go, Florida is something that I'm considering only because there's that long stretch of main line. That's what kind of has me interested in possibly running something like that. Basically, I want to have it so that there's some variable positions, but not too busy. Interesting enough to have a few meets, but not too busy. Right now, with the double track and the lack of actual capacity, or sorry, way under capacity, what's happening is basically you run it like you just run it eastbounds and westbounds. They just pass each other. I mean, we had a race going on Mohawk last night too, where we had an Amtrak overtaking another eastbound. We've had 3 train meets that happened. I don't know if the last night or the night before. So these things do happen, but it's the exception. It's certainly not the rule. So, but that's all I wanted to say about that tonight. So, anyways, losing my voice by the sounds of it. So I'm going to skedaddle. So I will be back. Weekends here, so I'll be back on Sunday and I'll start going to some developing things and start going into digging into. I'll dig into the next schedule and get that started and then see where we go from. So we got from 8 p.m. till 4 a.m. and we'll see what the schedule looks like. I'll start developing that for the Monday session. I was going to do some stuff tonight, but I just didn't feel like it tonight. So, and it doesn't seem like it's a major. People aren't using the bid board, or really, it's there. There's not enough people to warrant it. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but we'll see. I'll keep trying, see if it sticks. But anyways. But it's all good. It's not, I may sound depressed or disappointed or anything. I think I made the right move by getting down from 3 to 2 sessions. That should take the stress off a little bit, as long as it's enjoyable for me. If it gets to the point where it's not enjoyable, then I got to do something else, and that's all there is to it. And it's not like I'm going to be disappointing that many people because I don't think there's that many people on right now. So it's all cool. I like it that way. It's fine. As long as I can run myself and make a few people happy, that's good enough for me for now. And we'll see how it goes. Anyways, that's it for now. I'll be back on Sunday. We'll talk to you later.